Welcome to Good Morning Cannabis. I have my good friend Dave. And Dave, you're from what great state?
I'm in Ohio, in
Oh, I love Ohio.
Cleveland,
Ohio.
Ohio.
Okay, so I've been. What is the nickname for Ohio, by the way? What is it called?
It's the Buckeye State, I think.
Okay, we can talk about that. I'm not quite sure what a Buckeye is, but maybe we can explain that
Like
to me a little bit later. But
it's like a tree nut, I think.
okay,
It's one of
well,
those, like an acorn.
all right, well, we're the Garden State, so that's going to be fitting to cannabis. So,
Yeah,
Dave,
right.
before we get started, and then we kind of give you a more proper introduction, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life, Dave? Going from the time you were born until now, the craziest thing. Tell us.
I had a funny experience. I used to work for the Cleveland Cavs of the NBA. I'm a big
Okay.
NBA fan. And so I worked at the NBA All-Star game in the late 90s in San Antonio. And I was overseeing the three-point contest. Had a bunch of
Okay.
kids that were working for me to do the three-point contest. Very popular. They still do it. And so, a lot of the All-Stars watch the three-point contest. And one of the participants was Shaquille O'Neal's teammate, a guy named Dennis
Wow.
Scott.
Okay.
And I guess Dennis didn't do that well. And Shaq starts yelling at me for not having the ball racks in the right place so that his teammate Dennis Scott could get them quickly. I was kind of like pleading my case with Shaq there
Wow.
in San Antonio. It was all in good fun, and it was fun being part of the NBA. And it was an honor to be yelled at by Shaq.
Man, I've got to kind of go back and think about what person do I feel I was honored by yelling at me. It's going to take me a few minutes. But
Yeah.
so Dave, a more formal introduction, your last name, the company you work for, and some of the things that you've been doing before we get into some more serious questions.
Yeah. Well, the name's Dave Lowery, and myself and two other partners have started a cannabis marketing agency to support especially kind of private dispensary owners, 1, 2, 3, 5 dispensary kind of chains anywhere in the country, but we're kind of focusing in the Northeast, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, Ohio, Michigan, out my way. So yeah, we have a virtual agency, and we provide customized services to dispensary owners to distinguish themselves in the marketplace and to attract customers and keep them coming back. Over and over again, we see that new dispensaries, especially, they don't really take the time they don't think about marketing. There's a lot of other things they have to do to open that dispensary, as you well know,
Yep.
and they really don't think about marketing.
So what's so unique? Now we're getting into the conversation. So what's so unique about marketing cannabis as a cannabis company? And just take me through, your experience and how that's different from, because I know you've done marketing before in other areas. How is it
Right.
really that different? I mean, do you really need a specialist to understand this?
Yeah, it's amazing how different it is, and how many restrictions there are. It's because cannabis is a Schedule I drug according to the federal government, as you know. With that comes an incredible number of restrictions for advertising. So lifelong marketers might think, oh, it's another brand or it's another retail entity, and here's how we market it. That's not the case. There are many, many things that you cannot do when you market cannabis. There's the federal restrictions, and then there's also, various states have their own restrictions. So some easy ones to think about: you can't advertise cannabis on Facebook or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter like many brands do these days. It's not easy to do display advertising on websites because the Google display ad system does not allow cannabis advertising. Most television and radio is off limits to cannabis, so it's really not easy. There's a ton of restrictions to it, and one of the reasons my partners and I, marketing media content people, we have a fair amount of experience with CBD. When
Okay.
CBD started getting really popular, one partner wrote a book on CBD, and another has invested in CBD companies, and we've advertised for CBD companies, and a lot of those restrictions are similar. They've been relaxed a little bit, but there's a lot of restrictions and compliance issues which make cannabis advertising, especially tricky.
And can you get in trouble if you break those restrictions or you don't follow those restrictions?
One thing that happens, companies like to have a Facebook, Instagram presence, and they will block your account, erase your account without any opportunity for review. So cannabis companies, you want to have a presence in social media, especially because someday I think these restrictions will relax. But it's very risky if you break their rules according to their interpretation of the rules. They'll just drop your account and you won't be able to open it up again. So that's a real issue. And some states could. The other issue it is for license holders is if you are found at odds, especially with the state regulatory agencies in terms of communication or marketing, then you're probably not going to be able to get that additional license, or maybe not. You may not be able to renew. So right. one big thing when you're trying to add, let's say you start a foothold in the state and you want to grow it, you really need to follow the rules, or else many states won't let you grow.
Are there a lot of restrictions concerning advertising cannabis and using some type of cartoon characters?
Yeah, that's right. A big part of the spirit of it is to not advertise to children. So various states have rules about if you use a media, if you use a type of media, you have to be assured that you're going to reach 70 or 75 or even 85% of the people who view that media are 18 and older or 21 and older. So yeah, and so using a cartoon characters are very much forbidden on the theory that they will appeal to young people. So that's part of the way that these rules are, why these rules are set up.
Gotcha. So Dave, question for you as we're kind of talking through this. So what made you get into the cannabis space?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a great market, and there's not a lot of times in our lifetimes where there's a new industry that is starting from scratch and is going to be so big. But I also believe in cannabis, as do my partners. I really believe that if there was less alcohol use and more cannabis use, the world would be a better place. If in 1937 the U.S. government maybe outlawed alcohol instead of cannabis, I mean, think how much healthier Americans would be. Yeah, in general, in general, it's incredible to think that alcohol, which is addictive, has a myriad of health problems associated with it, is commonplace and accepted, and cannabis somehow strangely is verboten. So I really believe in it. And as a marketer, also, I think it's a fun challenge to convince someone maybe who hasn't tried it, or someone who's a little older who thought, oh, that's just not something you do. It's a great marketing challenge also. But again, probably the most important thing is I just believe that, not that I want everyone to use cannabis, constantly, but it's almost because it's such a better option for recreation use than alcohol is in so many ways. So we really believe in it. So that makes it exciting for us to promote it.
Well, I love you guys, and I love what you're doing. So let's tell us, if someone wants to get a hold of you, where they can find you. I mean, this will also be in the program when we send it out, but we always like to have it in the actual interview. How do they get a hold of Dave and Dave's company and next steps? And then we'll kind of sign off. So
thank you. Yeah, I didn't say that the company's named ZMA Cannabis Marketing. It's absolutely our specialty. And our website is zmacannabismarketing.com. My email address is dave@zmacannabismarketing.com. So we have a website, and I'm also on LinkedIn as are my partners. So yeah, we're looking for more smallish players to work with. And I know New Jersey right now, I bet a lot of those folks that just applied for licenses, plenty of them probably haven't thought about marketing yet, because understandably, there's a lot of things to do to get to that point. There's just a lot of things to do. So, but it's still so important, especially when you're launching the business, to make sure that you know what your brand wants to be, what you stand for, what's your unique selling proposition versus your competitors, who you want to attract. All those things are so important to do at the beginning. Just one more thing for these new dispensary owners to think about, but it's critically important because the industry is it only gets more competitive every day. New Jersey right now has a very small number of dispensaries, but that is only going to grow as the meds convert to adult use or add adult use, and then additional licenses. Yeah. You look to states like Oregon and California, and with just this unfettered competition, and it reminds you how important it is to market yourself properly, have a trusted brand, and create loyal customers. It's really important.
Well, Dave, thank you for sharing with us today, and good morning, cannabis. And we'll be talking again a little bit later, but going to sign off, and you have a great day.
Excellent. Thanks for the opportunity, Todd.
Take care, my friend.